Hey there, this is Wyatt again. Hopefully this is like in focus enough for you guys to be able to see. It doesn't really matter. This is more just a story time video. I just want to have something in the background just to do. I'm playing Pokemon Ultra Sun on my 3DS. I realize it's in that typical stanky YouTube, like early YouTube style, where people would record videos like, "Oh, I found Rodham in a Pokemon Center. All you got to do is beat 3,000 Elite Four members, whatever." But yeah, I mean, hopefully this is clear enough. If not, I'm sorry. That's really not the intention of the video. I'm like halfway through the game. It doesn't really matter. I don't feel like modifying my DS to put it in a capture card because, quite frankly, I just don't have the time. But anyway, this is just gonna kind of serve as an introduction to me as a person and my business and everything that I do, and just kind of catalog every now and then just the funny little stories that I have, because I've come across a lot of pretty zany characters doing this stuff. Ooh, excuse me. And yeah, I just figured it'd be fun to kind of talk about. So I've been doing this for going on almost 2 years now, and in a month I think it'll be 2 years. And I started because, well, I was working at Lowe's overnight, doing overnight shifts at Lowe's, and that was brutal. It was miserable. I would not recommend that to like anyone. But let me trade out. I don't even know if you guys can see this. I'm not going to touch my phone just out of fear of it. Like, I got a Lowland Marowak out right now, and I spent like 3 hours trying to get one with like a thick club, so it's got good defense. But he's got the Brion out, so that was a bad idea. Anyway, yeah, I was working at Lowe's, just toiling away. It was overnights, so we were doing stocking, which, if you know anything about Lowe's, they have a lot of things to stock, and I hated it. We weren't allowed to have our phones. We weren't even allowed to listen to music, which I know. Oh God, I'm so. Woe is me, right? Because that's the worst thing you could ever imagine, is not being able to listen to whatever stupid crap I listen to. But anyway, I was getting paid like $15 an hour to do it, which really, where I live, is not bad. Like, realistically, it's not bad at all. But it was, at that point in time, the lowest I had been mentally, at that point in time, because it would go downhill from there so fast. If I stutter or like hesitate on my words, it's because I want to curse. I curse a lot, but I kind of figure I shouldn't be really doing that too much whenever I'm trying to make YouTube videos. But anyway, I would start a shift typically at 7 or 8 o'clock. We would all unload a truck because they had a dedicated team of people that would unload trucks, but they all quit or got laid off or something. So we'd spend 3 or 4 hours unloading a truck, because it'd be like 5 people max a lot of the time. And yeah, if you know anything about how stuff like that works, that's not a lot of people to have unloading an entire, like, and this is an entire truck full of people. I know there's probably going to be somebody out there who's like, "Oh, well, I unloaded 3 trucks in 2 hours because I was angry," or some crap like that. But I don't care. It was hard for me. And my dad, at this point in time, was 63. He's 65 now. Or no, yeah, I guess 63. That was 2 years ago. I don't know why I'm basic math. And he has Parkinson's and leukemia. He was working for my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law was paying him for $120 a day to go out and do a bunch of stuff, which I really didn't like. I didn't think it was fair. Initially, like then. Now he's pretty well retired. He just kind of comes around along with me. I give him something to do. Um, and I know it means a lot to him, and it means a lot to me too that I get to spend some time with my dad. We weren't particularly close before we started doing the RV stuff together, but ever since then, it's just been it's been weird, but it's not bad. Um, yeah, so I quit Lowe's and started working for my brother-in-law, and just kind of didn't really like the way he ran things. And I thought, why don't I just do this myself? And I started doing it myself with my dad, and we didn't necessarily overnight take off. Oh my god, stop. Oh, I'm going to destroy you, Alolan Raichu. You're going down. It would be good against you. But yeah, he wasn't really getting paid a lot to do it. Well, he was. $120 a day isn't bad, but he'd be working like sometimes 12, 13, 14 hours a day. And this stuff is hard. It's not easy. And he would be bringing in probably around $1,000 a day for my brother-in-law, but he would get a fraction of that every day. And like I said, he's 60. He was 63 at this point. Parkinson's and leukemia. He shakes too bad now to really be able to help me out with work. And I'm not even saying that in a mean way. I don't expect him to be able to but anyway, yeah, goodness, we started doing this, and it was slow at first. It was very slow, as would any business be. But this is my only job. Has been my only job for the last 2 years. Beside the on and off, like maybe I'd work for a month for like Best Buy, or maybe I'd work for a month at Domino's and stuff like that. And I could do story times about that too, because there's so much to do there. But yeah, I've always been pretty handy with electronics. I've always been pretty good at things like that. So it kind of played really nicely into doing the RV stuff, because that's more of what I work on than anything, is just electricity and electronics. And I've been shocked enough times to know how to not get shocked. So yeah, we'll see how that plays on my lifespan going further on down in the future. But for now, I'm 27 and I'm just fine. This I run this business under my own name, and I've been running it since I was 25, and like I said, I'm 27 now. So it's been it's been full of ups and downs, and full of crazy people, weird people, nice people, really nice people, and some unpleasant people. But I choose not to focus on that. I like the human aspect of this job. I've always been very, very introverted and kind of, I would almost say, afraid to talk to people before I started doing this. And now that I'm doing it, it's not a problem to me. I enjoy talking to people. I'm still awkward. I'm autistic. I'm very autistic. Um, you could probably tell. It's probably not hard to see, but yeah, that's kind of just some basic background information, I guess. Just recounting the last 2 years of my life before I really get into detail about it, because I want to the focus, the drive, the main point of this video is to just do a story about some funny people that I've worked with before in the past. And the topic of this video is going to be who I affectionately dubbed the Hippies, even though I really did not like that situation at all. They were not exactly the kind of customers I like to deal with, because I don't mind a deadline. But I don't like whenever people think that I just don't have other people to work with, that I'm exclusively working for them, because I try to help whoever I can, whenever I can, however I can, because that's just this job. Like I said, I want to help people, because a lot of people live out of their campers. A lot of people have no other option. And I mean, I live with my parents still. I have no other option. If I didn't have my parents, I would probably be living in a camper myself. There are a lot of people on low income, disability, Social Security, all kinds of things, and I know how much people charge for this stuff, and it's disgusting. It makes me mad to hear people say, "Oh yeah, I had this guy come out and he looked at my AC and charged me $600 for it," and it's like, I don't know. Anyway, God, I need to stop going on tangents because that's just dumb. But yeah, so what did you say? I didn't read what she was saying. Okay, so yeah, the hippies. This was a group of people. They called me, I would say, around May, June, maybe of last year, and yeah, they wanted me to firstly do some inspections on some used campers that they wanted to buy to convert to well, they were toy haulers predominantly. They wanted to make them in like mobile cabins so they could go to Burning Man. They wanted me to convert their 30 amp system to a 50 amp system, which isn't hard. You just really have to run like more robust wiring, something that can actually handle 50 amps, and just add a 50 amp breaker box so you have two different like lines of 120 volt power across. Not to get into the nitty gritty details of it, and some other odds and ends, some bits and bobs and stuff. And yeah, so they called me then. They wanted me to do some inspections. The first inspection I did, I drove probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours out somewhere in the middle of Louisiana to go look at a camper. They decided not to buy that one. I took a bunch of pictures of it. The people had horses, and I'm scared of horses. I don't like anything that's bigger than me. I have a horse-like personality. I would like to say I like apples. I like leaves and stuff. I sometimes I like to run. I laugh like a horse. Yeah, so I can relate to them, but they scare me. But this was one of those things that me being around them was like, oh, you know what, you guys aren't like trying to kill me. You're pretty cool, actually. And that from that moment I was like, you know what, horses are cool as hell. They're friends of mine. But yeah, so that kind of that's not related to anything, but yeah, so I did the inspection. They decided not to buy the camper. And then probably about a week later, they called me again and were like, hey, there's another camper that we want you to look at. It's going to be, only 5.5 hours away from where you're located at. If that's not a problem, if you wouldn't mind to go look. And me being me, ever the people pleaser, I said, yeah, no, that's not a problem at all. And whenever we were negotiating prices, they talked me down to $240 for the round trip to go do an inspection. Yeah, like I said, out in the middle of nowhere. It was a 5.5 hour drive up there, and it's a 5.5 hour drive back. The only cool thing that I got to see was a Kroger, because I've never been to a Kroger before in my life, and that was pretty great. I'm vegan. I don't eat meat. I don't really care to talk more about that. It's just a personal preference. And they had so much cool stuff there. I'd love to go back. But anyway, I learned a lot about myself in that trip, and then coming back, and then just kind of generally being out and about. It was fun. I got to see a lot of the state that I live in in a way that I never really got to see before. And, being out there and just doing it, it was fun. I'm not entirely mad that I only got $240 out of it. It's more money than I would have made otherwise. It still worked out to be like 20-ish bucks an hour. So I can't complain. Reasonably, I cannot complain. It's just less than I would have charged, typically speaking. But anyway, I got back from that. And they bought that camper. We got to go ahead, move forward from there. And then once they got that worked out and started, kind of getting into plans, uh, they had me go out there and fix their AC units. They wanted me to install a second AC unit on both campers, which isn't particularly hard. You just have to make sure you have an area that you can actually install one at. Which they did. Thankfully, we just cut a big old hole in the roof and then put a camper. Anyway, gosh. Yeah, so that was one of the first things I did. And this was in the middle of the summer, and I live in the South. I think I probably already said the state that I live in, Mississippi. And, golly, it was like 115 degrees outside every day. Just ridiculously hot. And, I went out there, I fixed their AC. They wanted me to refill it with Freon, but I don't do that because I'm not comfortable doing it. And, they wanted me to do. This was all in the span of like 2 or 3 weeks from the time that they got the campers to the time that they were departing to go to Burning Man, because they wanted to go to Burning Man. That was the intention behind making these things into cabins, is so they could cram as many people as possible into them to go to Burning Man. So, we go out there, we do by we, I mean mostly me. And if I'm going to be running long hours, I'd prefer to do it, especially in the middle of the summer, in the afternoons or at night, because it's not hot out. It's not as hot out. It's more pleasant to work whenever it's not bright, dazzling sunlight directly beaming on my white ass forehead. My white old forehead, I should say. I shouldn't curse. I'm sorry. And yeah, the entire time these people were just, they were nice, but they were that kind of off-putting nice. My dad likened the main guy there to Charles Manson, which I just thought was funny. I didn't think too much about it. Like I said, I tend to just give people the benefit of the doubt and not really think too deeply about why they might be weird, because I'm weird myself. But anyway, and yeah, it was one guy who was kind of like the ringleader. He was working with me directly, but he didn't work with the campground. He was kind of in charge of like the money and getting paid to do all this stuff. And then there was a guy under him that was actually, I think, part of the campground, and they all lived out there. They all lived on this big old plot of land. I don't think it was legal that they did it, but I don't really, that's not my business to like speak about realistically. Is this still recording? Yeah, it's been recording for 20 minutes. Jeez. But yeah, I don't really feel like that's exactly my place to talk on, but like, it's still just one of those things. I did everything, got done up with it. But yeah, I'm on a tangent. And, there's just a bunch of people there. There's a dude from Scotland. I think he was Scottish. He kind of had an aura about himself that he felt like he was like more aggrandized and more important. I didn't even know what he did. I just thought he just had a funny voice, because I didn't have a team of people. I don't like working with people because I'm bad at explaining things, and I just also just would rather do things on my own terms and by myself, because I know what I'm doing. I'm not saying other people don't know what they're doing, but whenever it comes down to it, I prefer to do things just to the ability that I know best, and that's my own. And so yeah, they'd keep being like, "Oh, if you need help with anything, just let us know." And there really wasn't anything that they could have helped me with, because anytime I would talk to them, I'm pretty sure they were high on something a lot of the time. Because I would say something to some people and they just stare at me and like just like I was an alien. And I look weird and I'm big and funny looking, but I don't think it's that bad, you know. I don't think I'm that crazy looking, but still, um, it was kind of bizarre. I wasn't exactly a big fan of it, and I would rather not put my word and my trust, my faith into the handiness of people who are probably high on something, preferably. So within the span of 2 or 3 weeks, we got done with everything. Every morning they would call me and be like, "Hey, where are you at? Where are you at? Where are you? Are you coming up here?" This place, mind you, this place was an hour and a half away from my house, so it was not by any means like a short trek. I wasn't just walking outside of my house and waving to them and, just resting on my laurels. Granted, I would wake up at like 11 or 12 every day because this was, I'm not really giving myself an excuse. I've always just been an insomniac. I'm recording this video at like 1 in the morning and I got to wake up in like 7 hours to go finish that slide. But, yeah, it got to the point where they'd call me and be like, "Hey, so just show up. You just come on by. Just come on by. Is there anything we can do to get you to come by earlier?" But I would work until the small hours of the night, and then I'd leave. I'd work sometimes until 1 or 2 in the morning, and my partner really was very patient with me the entire time through. My partner is a very, very, very lovely individual, and I'm very thankful to have them in my life. But that's beside the point. I got done up with everything. Everything worked fine. I crunched in their deadline. They were still working on everything by the time I was still working on everything. So I felt like I had every right to still be working on this camper and stuff. And here's where the real weird part of the story kicks in is, well, I had done basically all that work in the span of 2 or 3 weeks, which was a lot for one person. I think it was. It was a lot for me. I really busted myself getting out there and doing it pretty much every day for 2 weeks. And so the last day comes up. I tell them the price. It was $1,200 for everything said and done, which is really not as much at all as I normally get for jobs and stuff. But, it was still like a decent paycheck. So I wasn't complaining. I had agreed to it. He'd agreed to it. We'd both agreed to it. I told him I was letting him have a pretty good deal. I was going half off of my normal price for him to be able to do that. I would have, in an ideal world, I would have told him it would be $2,400, but I just wanted to make sure that he was happy with the price and happy with the work that I did. And they were all happy with everything that I did. Had no problem at all. And then, once I got done with all that, once I got done with everything, I remember we were packing up and heading out. He'd paid me the first $600, just as kind of like a good faith thing. And I was like, okay, cool. And then he said something along the lines of I can't remember what he said. It was something that made me kind of feel like he wasn't going to want to pay me the other $600 that he owed me. And lo and behold, he didn't want to pay me that other $600, which I did not feel was fair. That I was not just going to take $600 for all the work that I did, because that's ridiculous. To be frank, 2 weeks of work for $600, I would have been better off working at McDonald's. I would have been, and that's not even to besmirch people working at McDonald's, because that's a hard job too. But I'm just saying it would have been easier. I would have made that money better if I worked at McDonald's. And yeah, so we're talking about it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, so we just didn't get it done in that deadline that we talked about." And I told him, "No, we did. We got everything done before you guys headed out. There should be no problem at all. Why you guys there should be no problem at all for paying me. There shouldn't be an issue there." And he was like, "Oh, well, it's my job. Something about I almost lost my job doing this, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "I don't really care, because I didn't. Because to be frank, if you're going to be doing this as your job, you should be holding up your end of the responsibility. You should be responsible for what you say or you are responsible for. There's no exception to that. We're grown adults. He was like probably double my age, and talking to me like I didn't deserve the money that I earned. And I let him know pretty quick, I don't have any intention on working. I'm hot-headed when it comes to things like this because I try to be fair with people as much as I can. That's my thing. I really, really, really try to be fair with people. I don't try to screw people over. I want to get the job done, and I want to get paid as much as the people want me to get the job done and want it to be done right. And I can do that. Whenever people are only offering me so much, I don't know. He asked something about like, because I was making a stink about it, understandably, because I'd only got paid half the money that I earned. And he asked me something along the lines of like, what do you want here? What are we trying to create here? Because he was, like I said, some hippy dippy bullcrap type. And I said, I am trying to create $600 in my Cash App account. I had said that verbatim to him. I felt so proud of myself. And he said that is something along the lines of, oh, very funny, good one, something like that, some sarcastic hippie quip. Kind of lost his mojo, his vibe or whatever it is, his stank aura. But yeah, that eventually he finally agreed to pay me the rest of the money. I finally got the rest of he paid me $700. It turned out to be something, and he was like, oh, it's pretending like I was putting him out of pocket so hard because he'd agreed to pay this money, and then finally decided that good vibes and an underseasoned pasta and some ginger ale was going to be enough of a payment for me to be like, oh yeah, no, don't worry about the $600. Don't worry about that. We're best buddies, you and me. I'm so happy that I got to come out here and work with you big smelly hippies all day, instead of working with customers that would have paid me. But yeah, like I said, he paid begrudgingly, and then I blocked him, and I have not heard a word from him since, and I do not intend on hearing a word from him ever again, because quite frankly, I do not want to work with people like that, because I work hard. But anyway, I guess really, the moral of that story is, for as much as I am a free spirit and I would fit right along in with hippies, don't trust hippies, especially if they're talking about paying you. Because goodness gracious, every time I've met somebody who's a self-proclaimed hippie, they're an awful person that are just trying to go out to hurt you. And that's not everyone in the world, I know. That isn't, but just in this specific case, yeah. Screw that guy. But anyway, yeah, I guess that's kind of the end of the story. Wasn't really anything climactic or big. I just got into like a little text message spat with him, and we ended it there. And yeah, I've never really had. There was one time there was almost a physical altercation between somebody and my dad, of all people. And that was pretty early, actually. This was before I even started my own business doing this stuff. This is whenever I was still working with my brother-in-law. But that's a different video for a different time and a different place and a different space. I'll get to that whenever I get to that. But for now, I'm really enjoying making videos. It's not exactly something I'm planning on making a lot out of, or making anything really out of. I don't know. I'm kind of here by myself. Don't really have anything better to do except for record YouTube videos and play Pokemon. So yeah, here it is. Here's this video whenever it comes out. I don't know if anybody's going to watch it. That's fine. It's entertainment for myself. I get to recount stories and pretend like somebody's going to listen to them. But anyway, I really hope if somebody is watching this, if anyone's watching this, you have a good time. If you're going through a rough spot in life right now, just by all means, yeah, I know a lot of people say, give me a comment, like a comment for, and it's mostly for the algorithm, but I really want to just know if you're someone out there that wants to talk about your life and just wants to get your experience out there. I'm willing to listen. I know how hard life can be firsthand, and I've seen it in other people. I've seen it myself, and I just really just hope that I was able to give somebody something to listen to in the background, something to watch, maybe something interesting. I don't know. I just hope, no matter what, if you're watching this, you're doing good. Um, it's really all I can hope for anyone, is that you're doing good. Yeah, if you like the video, that's cool. Do whatever you want to. Um, Thank you for listening to this if you did. Um, and yeah, I guess I'll post more videos about wacky customers going forward in the future. Either way, even if it doesn't get popular, like I said, I got my RV stuff as a job. I run Uber on the side, trying to go do Spark because apparently they make $250 a day, which is crazy. I can make that in 2 hours doing the RV stuff if I really, really get a good job, but I don't even like charging that much. I really don't. It makes me feel bad to even charge anything a lot of the time because, like I said, most people that I work with are old or disabled in some way, shape, or form, and in those cases, I really don't charge a lot. I still have to charge something. I know it's bull crap. It's stupid justification, but I can't live off of air. It would be really cool. I guess my ideal with this would just be to make money off of YouTube and then do RV stuff for free. That that would be amazing. That would be so cool if I could just rely on YouTube for money and just do this RV stuff and make a video out of it and then have that. But that's that's just wishful thinking. That's a dream. That's a pipe dream. Um, but yeah. Anyway, like I said, if you watched through this entire video some way, somehow, however, thank you. Genuinely thank you. And I hope you have a good one. I'm going to cut it short here while I'm already 30 minutes into the video. Yeah. Uh, have a good one.